Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're heading straight into Deuteronomy chapter 34.
The very last chapter. Yeah, it's where we see the culmination of Moses' entire story, really, his final moments.
Exactly, the end of this massive journey in his leadership. It's incredibly poignant stuff we're looking at here.
Absolutely. It really kicks off at, a literal high point. The text says, Moses goes up Mount Nebo.
Right, up to the top of Pisgah, which looks out over the land opposite Jericho.
And what he sees from there, well, the Lord shows him this incredible panorama. It's not just a quick look.
No, the text is really specific, isn't it? It lists all these regions, Gilead all the way up to Dan.
And Naphtali, the territory of Ephraim and Manasseh, all of Judah, right out to the western sea.
The Mediterranean, yeah. And the Negev, too, and that whole region from the Valley of Jericho, the City of Palms, it calls it.
All the way down to Zoar. It's
Yeah,
like the Lord is laying out the entire map before him.
showing him everything he'd led the people towards for 40 years.
And God speaks to him right then, confirming it. This is the land I swore on oath to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Saying, I will give it to your descendants. So there's the confirmation. He sees the promise fulfilled, visually at least.
But then comes that incredibly heavy line. God says basically, I've let you see it with your own eyes.
But you will not cross over into it. Just powerful after everything.
Exactly. He sees the goal, the physical land, but he himself won't cross the Jordan. That separation is really striking.
And right after that, the text just states it quite plainly. And Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in Moab, as the Lord had said. Just like that.
Gone. He gives his age, 120 years old.
Oh.
But then there's that really curious detail.
That bit about how his eyes were not weak, nor his strength gone.
Right. It's like the text is making a point. He didn't just, fade away from old age or sickness. His vitality was apparently still there.
Which sort of underlines that him not entering the land wasn't about being physically incapable. It was that earlier divine decree we read about.
Precisely. And then the burial itself is quite mysterious, isn't it?
Very. It says the Lord buried him, not the people, God himself. Somewhere there in Moab in the valley opposite Beth Peor.
And then this detail. To this day, no one knows where his grave is.
Which is just fascinating. A divinely handled burial, a location kept secret. It really does seem to underscore his unique standing, even in death, kind of setting him apart.
A solitary end, in a way. Yeah. After this, the focus shifts to the people and the next steps.
The Israelites mourn him. For 30 days, the text says, they're on the plains of Moab. A proper period of grief.
Yeah, showing his significance. And then the leadership transition is laid out very clearly.
To Joshua, son of Nun. And the text gives a specific reason he's ready. It says he was filled with the spirit of wisdom.
Because Moses had laid his hands on him. So that act, that physical laying on of hands, it's presented as the direct cause, the means of transfer for that wisdom and authority.
Right, not just symbolic, but effectual, according to the text.
Exactly. And it works. It says the Israelites listened to Joshua. They did what the Lord had commanded Moses.
So you see this smooth, divinely approved handover, really enabled by Moses' final act.
And the chapter, and really the whole Torah, kind of culminates in this powerful summary statement about Moses himself.
Oh yeah, that line, since then no prophet has risen in Israel like Moses. That's a huge statement.
It really sets him on a unique pedestal. And the text immediately tells you why, according to this account. First, that he was known by the Lord face to face.
That implies this incredible intimacy, right? A directness of communication that no one else had.
That's the idea. And then it points to the sheer scale and public nature of what God did through him. All those miraculous signs and wonders back in Egypt.
Yeah, against Pharaoh, his court, the entire land. And also, importantly, the mighty power and awesome deeds he performed, right there in the sight of all Israel.
So it's both the personal, intimate relationship and the huge, powerful public acts.
Yeah.
That combination is presented as what makes him absolutely unparalleled.
So wrapping it all up, you get this final vision, this unique death and mysterious burial, the successful handover of leadership.
And then this definitive statement on his singular status, rooted in that face-to-face relationship and the mighty deeds.
It really leaves you thinking, though. You have this leader, he sees the destination, the land they journeyed so long for, but he doesn't actually get to enter it himself.
Right. His end is somewhat solitary, divinely managed, his grave unknown. But his spiritual legacy, his authority, the spirit of wisdom that gets passed on successfully, his connection to the divine is framed as unmatched.
So, what does that suggest, within the framework of this text? The separation of seeing the physical goal but not reaching it, while the spiritual transmission and divine relationship are so strongly emphasized. What might that signify about? Well, maybe about leadership or fulfillment or the nature of the ultimate goal in this narrative.
That's a deep question and definitely something the text leaves you, the listener, to chew on.